2 Chronicles, chapter 24, verse 15 through chapter 26, verse 23. And Jodi grew old, being full of days, and he died, being 130 years old at his death. And they buried him with the kings in the city of David, because he had dealt well with Israel, and with God and his house. And it came to pass after the death of Jodi, that the princes of Judah went in and did obeisance to the king. Then the king hearkened to them. And they forsook the house of the Lord God of their fathers, and served the Astartes and idols. And there was the wrath upon Judah and Jerusalem in that day. Yet he sent prophets to them, to turn them to the Lord, but they hearkened not. And he testified to them, but they obeyed not. And the Spirit of God came upon Azarias the son of Jodi the priest, and he stood up above the people, and said, Thus saith the Lord, Why do ye transgress the commandments of the Lord? So shall ye not prosper, for ye have forsaken the Lord, and he will forsake you. And they conspired against him, and stoned him by command of King Joash in the court of the Lord's house. So Joash remembered not the kindness which his father Jodi had exercised toward him, but slew his son. And as he died, he said, The Lord look upon it, and judge. And it came to pass, after the end of the year, that the host of Syria went up against him, and came against Judah and Jerusalem. And they slew all the chiefs of the people among the people, and all their spoils they sent to the king of Damascus. For the army of Syria came with few men, yet God gave into their hands a very large army, because they had forsaken the God of their fathers, and he brought judgments on Joash. And after they had departed from him, when they left him in sore diseases, then his servants conspired against him because of the blood of the son of Jodi the priest, and slew him on his bed, and he died. And they buried him in the city of David, but they buried him not in the sepulchre of the kings. And they that conspired against him were Zabad the son of Semaeth the Ammonite, and Jozabed the son of Sarmerath the Moabite. And all his sons and the 5 came to him, and the other matters, behold, they are written in the book of the kings. And Amasias his son reigned in his stead. Amasias began to reign when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Joadine of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, but not with a perfect heart. And it came to pass, when the kingdom was established in his hand, that he slew his servants who had slain the king his father. But he slew not their sons, according to the covenant of the law of the Lord, as it is written, and as the Lord commanded, saying, The fathers shall not die for their children, and the sons shall not die for the fathers, but they shall die each for his own sin. And Amasias assembled the house of Judah, and appointed them according to the houses of their families for captains of thousands and captains of hundreds in all Judah and Jerusalem. And he numbered them from 20 years old and upwards, and found them 300,000 able to go out to war, holding spear and shield. Also he hired of Israel 100,000 mighty men for 100 talents of silver. And there came a man of God to him, saying, O king, let not the host of Israel go with thee, for the Lord is not with Israel, even all the sons of Ephraim. For if thou shalt undertake to strengthen thyself with these, then the Lord shall put thee to flight before the enemies. For it is of the Lord, both to strengthen and to put to flight. But Amasias said to the man of God, But what shall I do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel? And the man of God said, The Lord can give thee much more than these. And Amasias separated from the army that came to him from Ephraim, that they might go away to their place. And they were very angry with Judah, and they returned to their place with great wrath. And Amasias strengthened himself, and took his people, and went to the valley of Salt, and smote there the children of Seir 10,000. And the children of Judah took 10,000 prisoners, and they carried them to the top of the precipice, and cast them headlong from the top of the precipice, and they were all dashed to pieces. And the men of the host whom Amasias sent back, so that they should not go with him to battle, went and attacked the cities of Judah, from Samaria to Betharon, and they smote 3,000 among them, and took much spoil. And it came to pass, after Amasias had returned from smiting Idumea, that he brought home the gods of the children of Seir, and set them up for himself as gods, and bowed down before them, and he sacrificed to them. And the anger of the Lord came upon Amasias, and he sent him a prophet, and he said to him, Why hast thou sought the gods of the people, which have not rescued their own people out of thine hand? And it came to pass, when the prophet was speaking to him, that he said to him, Have I made thee king's counselor? Take heed, lest thou be scourged. And the prophet forbore, and said, I know that God is disposed against thee to destroy thee, because thou hast done this thing, and hast not hearkened to my counsel. And Amasiah king of Judah took counsel, and sent to Joas, son of Joachaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come, and let us look one another in the face. And Joas king of Israel sent to Amasiah king of Judah, saying, The thistle that was in Libanus sent to the cedar that was in Libanus, saying, Give thy daughter to my son to wife. But behold, the wild beasts of the field that are in Libanus shall come. And the wild beast did come, and trod down the thistle. Thou hast said, Behold, I have smitten Idumea, and thy stout heart exalts thee. Now stay at home. For why dost thou implicate thyself in mischief, that thou shouldest fall, and Judah with thee? Nevertheless, Amasiah hearkened not, for it was of the Lord to deliver him into the enemy's hand, because he sought after the gods of the Idumeans. So Joas king of Israel went up, and they saw one another, he and Amasiah king of Judah, in Besamis, which is of Judah. And Judah was put to flight before Israel, and they fled every man to his tent. And Joas king of Israel took prisoner Amasiah king of Judah, son of Joas, son of Joachaz, in Besamis, and brought him to Jerusalem. And he pulled down part of the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. And he took all the gold and the silver, and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord, and with Abdedom, and the treasures of the king's house, and the hostages, and returned to Samaria. And Amasiah the son of Joas, king of Judah, lived after the death of Joas the son of Joachaz, king of Israel, 15 years. And the rest of the acts of Amasiah, the first and the last, lo, are they not written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel? And at that time, when Amasiah departed from the Lord, then they formed a conspiracy against him. And he fled from Jerusalem to Lachish, and they sent after him to Lachish, and slew him there. And they took him up on horses, and buried him with his fathers in the city of David. Then all the people of the land took Ozias, and he was 16 years old, and they made him king in the room of his father Amasiah. He built Elath. He recovered it to Judah, after the king slept with his fathers. Ozias began to reign at the age of 16 years, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Amasiah his father did. And he sought the Lord in the days of Zacharias, who understood the fear of the Lord, and in his days he sought the Lord, and the Lord prospered him. And he went out and fought against the Philistines, and pulled down the walls of Geth, and the walls of Jabneh, and the walls of Azotus, and he built cities near Azotus, and among the Philistines. And the Lord strengthened him against the Philistines, and against the Arabians that dwelt on the rock, and against the Midians. And the Midians gave gifts to Ozias, and his fame spread as far as the entering in of Egypt, for he strengthened himself exceedingly. And Ozias built towers in Jerusalem, both at the gate of the corner and in the valley gate, and at the corners, and he fortified them. And he built towers in the wilderness, and dug many wells, for he had many cattle in the low country and in the plain, and vine dressers in the mountain country and in Carmel, for he was a husbandman. And Ozias had a host of warriors, and that went out orderly to war, and returned orderly in number, and their number was made by the hand of Jael the scribe, and Maaseiah the judge, by the hand of Ananias the king's deputy. The whole number of the chiefs of families of the mighty men of war was 2,600, and with them was a warrior force, 300,000 and 7,500. These waged war mightily to help the king against his enemies. And Ozias prepared for them, even for all the host, shields, and spears, and helmets, and breastplates, and bows, and slings for stones. And he made in Jerusalem machines invented by a wise contriver, to be upon the towers and upon the corners, to cast darts and great stones. And the fame of their preparation was heard at a distance, for he was wonderfully helped till he was strong. And when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction, and he transgressed against the Lord his God, and went into the temple of the Lord to burn incense on the altar of incense. And there went in after him Azarias the priest, and with him 80 priests of the Lord, mighty men. And they withstood Ozias the king, and said to him, It is not for thee, Ozias, to burn incense to the Lord, but only for the priests, the sons of Aaron, who are consecrated to sacrifice. Go forth of the sanctuary, for thou hast departed from the Lord, and this shall not be for glory to thee from the Lord God. And Ozias was angry, and in his hand was the censer to burn incense in the temple. And when he was angry with the priest, then the leprosy rose up in his forehead before the priests in the house of the Lord, over the altar of incense. And Azarias the chief priest and the other priests turned to look at him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead. And they got him hastily out thence, for he also hasted to go out, because the Lord had rebuked him. And Ozias the king was a leper to the day of his death, and he dwelt as a leper in a separate house. For he was cut off from the house of the Lord, and Jotham his son was set over his kingdom, judging the people of the land. And the rest of the acts of Ozias, the first and the last, are written by Josias the prophet. And Ozias slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the field of burial place of the kings, for they said, He is a leper. And Jotham his son reigned in his stead. Psalm 121, 122 in Hebrew, a song of degrees. I was glad when they said to me, Let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet stood in thy courts, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is built as a city whose fellowship is complete. For thither the tribes went up, the tribes of the Lord, as a testimony for Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Lord. For there are set thrones for judgment, even thrones for the house of David. Pray now for the peace of Jerusalem, and let there be prosperity to them that love thee. Let peace, I pray, be within thine host, and prosperity in thy palaces. For the sake of my brethren and my neighbors, I have indeed spoken peace concerning thee. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I have diligently sought thy good. Psalm 122, 123 in Hebrew, a song of degrees. Unto thee who dwellest in heaven have I lifted up mine eyes. Behold, as the eyes of servants are directed to the hands of their masters, and as the eyes of a maidservant to the hand of her mistress, so our eyes are directed to the Lord our God, until he have mercy on us. Have pity upon us, O Lord, have pity upon us, for we are exceedingly filled with contempt. Yea, our soul has been exceedingly filled with it. Let the reproach be to them that are at ease, and contempt to the proud. Proverbs chapter 26, verses 1 through 5. As dew in harvest, and as rain in summer, so honor is not seemly for a fool. As birds and sparrows fly, so a curse shall not come upon any one without cause. As a whip for a horse, and a goad for an ass, so is a rod for a simple nation. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou become like him. Yet answer a fool according to his folly, lest he seem wise in his own conceit. The Holy Gospel according to St. John, chapter 15. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it might bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me ye can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them, and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments, and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends, For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whosoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, that ye love one another. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hateth me hateth my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not had sin. But now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father. But this cometh to pass, that the word might be fulfilled, that is written in their law, they hated me without a cause. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceedeth from the Father, he shall testify of me. And ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning.